Hello, Brian Turner here again. Okay, today we're going to do How to Improvise on Guitar Part 2. If you missed Part 1, you can go to the description below. There will be a link to the playlist to take you there. So go there and come back if you want to. Alright, so what are we going to do in Part 2? Part 2, first, I want to review Part 1 a little bit because we covered a lot of territory in Part 1. So I'm just going to briefly, or maybe not so briefly, discuss Part 1 so we'll feel comfortable with Part 2. If you recall, I talked about how, in my mind, the most important thing you can learn is intervals. If you recall, the intervals are the number names given the notes of the major scale. So if you recall, the G major scale was like this: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. We've all heard that before. Well, those notes are given number names of the scale, and that's what we call intervals. So, having said that, understanding intervals, so important. We're not going to understand. We're not going to understand if we don't understand intervals. That's going to be the musical language we're going to be used from here on. Now, there are three elements in my mind that are the most important. Okay, number one is what I just mentioned, the major scale with the understanding the intervals, because the major scale is where we get our intervals. So you need to know this major scale and tell yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 8 and the 1 are the same. That's why it's called the octave. It's the eighth note. So you have root, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's element number one. Second element is the major arpeggio. What is the arpeggio? It's just the major chord broken up separately. Here's a major chord. Here's an arpeggio. So everything we're going to do for a while is going to be shaped right out of this shape right here, that G chord like that. Look, it's a familiar fingering. It looks just like an F, and that's going to be home base. That's where I'm going to be centering everything around. So that's the second element. The third element is the minor blues scale. Now, when comparing the minor blues scale to the major scale, we have a root, a flat third, not a third, but a flat third, a 5, a flat 5. I'm sorry, let me start over. A root, a flat third, a 4, a flat 5, and a 5, and a flat 7, and then your octave again. So that scale has three notes in common with the major scale: the root, the 4, and the 5. Both scales have those notes. However, the minor blues scale has three notes that are unique, meaning it's not in the other scale. It's only in the blues scale. Those notes are flat 3, flat 5, and flat 7. Those notes are unique, and because they're unique to the blues scale, we're going to call those the blue notes: the flat third, flat 5, and flat 7. So, having said that, whenever I'm improvising, I'm just thinking about that major arpeggio, and I'm just going to add the notes of the major scale that are not in the major arpeggio, or I'm going to add the blue notes. So here I'm just going to add just notes of the major scale. See, I'm adding the 2, 4, 6, and 7. But it doesn't sound very bluesy, does it? Now I'm going to add the flat third, flat 5, and the flat 7, as well as I might add the 6, maybe even the 2, who knows. Here we go. Flat third. All around that chord, that major arpeggio, but adding the blue notes and the other notes of the major scale. Okay, so that's a review of lesson 1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some intervals that we didn't do in lesson number 1, starting with the fourth interval. So what's here? We're going to start with arpeggios, as always. So the 4 is easy to find because it's on the same fret as your third, as your root. I'm sorry, your root. 4. That's the fourth interval. Say 1, 2, 3, 4. So now what I'm going to do? Root, 3, 4, 5, octave. 5, 4. Incidentally, just for a sidetrack here, whenever you see a suspended fourth chord, that's what they're talking about, adding the fourth. You get it gives it the suspended sound. It sounds like it's hung up in the air. So here we go, just a little riff using the 4. 1, 3, 4, 5 octave. All right. So an application of that, you hear this what I call dancing around the third. So because look, the 4th is only a fret above the 3rd, and the flat 3rd is a fret below the 3rd, and there's your 3rd. So watch what I'm gonna do. Root 4, flat 3, 3. Very familiar sound. You hear blues all the time. You'll hear blues and rock. Might add a little bit of harmony there, but it's the same thing. You hear it in rock music. Alice Cooper. See this? So now I'm going to go root 4, flat 3rd, 3rd, and then 5 octaves. See, root 4, flat 3, 3, 5. Okay. Then I'm gonna just play around with what we've already done and add that in also. So. Kind of mixing up what we did in lesson 1 and adding the 4. Okay, so now let's talk about the 2. We haven't done the 2 yet. The 2 is kind of peculiar because notice that everything I've done is right out of that chord. I never get below the 3rd fret, do I? See, everything's right there, and it's all these intervals I've been doing are very convenient because I can stay in the 3rd position, meaning my first finger's on the 3rd fret, second finger 4th fret, 3rd finger 5th fret, and pinky on the 6th fret. So I never deviated from that. But that 2 is there on the 2nd fret. So watch what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go root 2, 3, 5 octave. See? Root and 2, 3, 5 the octave. So I'm still doing that chord, but I'm adding the 2. Instead of going root 3, 5 octave, I'm going root 2, 3, 5 octave. See? All right, making sense to you there? But you can also get the 2 at another spot. Look here. There's your root, the 1. This is your root also, the 1. Look here, the 2 is right there. So now what I'm doing, I'm going to catch the 2. I'm going to go root, 2, 3, 5, octave, 2 again. See? All right, so now I'm going to mix everything up. I'm going to add the 6, flat 7, the other stuff we've done in previous exercises. See, root 2, flat 3, 3, 5, 6, flat 7, root, another 2. Okay, now watch this. So since there's our 2, flat 3, 3, look here. 2, flat 3, 3. See, that's the same as that. So that's where you hear a lot of that classic rockabilly stuff. Watch this. I'm going to go root, flat 3, 3, 5. Now watch, I'm just going to work with the first 2 strings. 5, 6, octave, 2, flat 3, 3. So just remember that works. So watch me do some classic rockabilly. Flat 3, 3, 5, 6, root, 2, flat 3, 3, 5, 6, root, 2, flat 3, 2, 5, 6, root, 2, flat 3, 3, root. Play some of them together. That's a classic rockabilly. So I'm just gonna play with those intervals. you see, those are very familiar riffs that we've heard in all the rockabilly and jump blues and even your rocks, your other rock stuff. So there you go. That's lessons 2. So in lesson 3, we're gonna move on and show you even more stuff in this vein. Again, you can visit the playlist. You'll probably see a link to that coming up about right now. If you have any questions, as always, just go down to the comments below and put in your 2 cents worth. Have a good day.